And from a short time off, we are back here at the High Octane podcast on a week where I don't know if the racing is going to be extra large or just this podcast. I hope it's not too big. My camera only has a certain amount of battery life in it. So, welcome to the High Octane podcast. My name's Zach. Over there is my partner Ricky. Say hello to the internet.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to episode 13. Everything is bigger in Texas, and Zach, very excited about this one. Had this one circled when the schedule came out, and yeah, it's time to get it. We're racing for a championship now, and at a place that means just so much, and we'll talk about that later in the show. But coming from you from sunny California, so as you can tell everybody, and the background's different, and we're gonna try to jump on a plane tomorrow, Zach, and get back to Texas, and we're gonna haul the mail back to the house so we can go race for a championship. So just excited to be back home. It's been a long 2 weeks for us, and yeah, I'm ready to go back. I'm ready to go back.
Well, don't use all that speed driving to your house. You're going to need it as we venture into the final leg of Friday Night Fuel's playoff run. And if you remember last time we were together, what makes Friday Night Fuel particularly special is that this isn't a one race to decide them all. Drivers will have three separate races to duke it out for a championship. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the show, but just a gentle reminder for you guys, it doesn't end at Texas. You can make a final stand here and then live to fight another day a week from Friday. Let's take a look back, way back, because we've had a week off, at the week that was Talladega, as the field of 8 playoff contenders. Wow, I didn't think a chat could get me that bad. Thanks, Brett. Oh man. As playoff field goes from 8 to 4, these drivers slugged it out with teammates alike and drivers who were just purely going for the checkered flag out at Dega for the round of 8 conclusion just over 2 weeks, or yeah, just under, I guess I should say, 2 weeks ago. John Gutekunst wins Talladega with Nate Estep, Mark Gonzalez, Ricky finishes fourth, and then fifth is James Morris, rounding out your top 5 at Talladega. This race was something. It had 7 cautions for the duration of the 112 lap event, and there was a lot to be seen all throughout this track. Drivers making their own mistakes, causing single car spins, and then other events that, well, cascaded into a bit of chaos as we introduced on last time's show. I want to keep saying last week, but we took a rare break, and through it all, we managed to have a wild race and an even more wild ending. Ricky, what do you think back on the week that was over in Talladega as the field gets reduced from 8 playoff contenders down to 4? Guys just giving it their all, trying to get the win with help from teammates.
Yeah, it definitely was a battle of what team could be there at the end, and we saw that with 1776 and Titletown Racing. The strategy for the group back at the stable was let's try to get the drivers who are just on the verge of that cusp to let's get them to lead a lap. We went last week or 2 weeks ago. We said on the show that like John Garrett has to have the perfect race, and I mean he led a lap, led the most laps, was there at the end. It was just a move by my brother that kind of put him in the back of the pack, and he was on the verge of winning that race. And the race played out the way we all thought it would. People bump drafting and side drafting and doing whatever it takes to get track position. We had green flag pit stops one time at the second half of the race, so that was pretty cool for us to see 15 cars come down and they're all 5 wide, 4 wide, trying to get down to 55, 60 miles an hour. And at the end it was between myself, my brother, Mark Gonzalez, John T, John Gutekunst, and Nate Estep. And fortunately for us, we caught a friendly in Caleb Collins, and we were able to kind of 1776 versus TTR there. And unfortunately, there was a racing incident. I brought out a late race caution, and then it was just a mad dash to the finish, and John was able to come out on top. So yeah, we're going to have 4 drivers now race for a championship. It's going to be Mark Gonzalez, myself, it'll be John Gutekunst, and Nate Estep. just not in a particular order. It's just I was just saying the four drivers who's battling for a championship. So yeah, the mindset shift now for those four drivers to capitalize on stage points, capitalize on leading a lap, leading the most laps, because right now the points reset, and we're going to reset them to 4,000, and we're all on evil leveling playing fields, and so whoever comes out on top, they'll come out on top.
Well, you're not on evil level playing fields. You're on even level playing fields. Nobody's evil around here, Ricky. Cool your jets. But these drivers were able to duke it out at the high banks of Talladega and indeed catch some help with different drivers who got caught up in the big one, right? We talked about how it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when chaos happens. And for those drivers that are a lap down, maybe fighting for a lucky dog, trying to get their lap back, you just got to find yourself at the right place at the right time. And ultimately, that's how Talladega shook itself out. But I really want to spend just a brief moment talking about John. I know that John really wasn't the star of the show, right? It was John Garrett who was the star of the show, and then John Gutekunst sort of stepped in and got the win at the end of this thing. You know, you're a big believer in momentum, and what does, hey, capping off the round of 8, even at a track like Talladega, with a win due for a driver setting themselves up for a 3-race stretch here going into the Final Four. I know that's something that you wanted, but now a competitor, John Gutekunst, goes out and grabs. How can that change how he races at Texas?
Yeah, it sets the confidence high. You're the last one to come off a victory, especially when a season in our schedule where we're sitting on a 2-week break. You have bragging rights for the next 2 weeks. And fortunately for John, I was able to see, he streamed earlier this week, was able to see he already ran a race at Texas Motor Speedway. So he's had an advantage on the level playing field of us four championship drivers. He has time on a racetrack. And as every driver knows, I don't care if it's real life or in a virtual setting, you need time on the racetrack. And so he's got 134 laps advantage in front of all three of us. So I'm expecting that 41 machine to be there at the front. And from watching his stream, he had a really fast long run race car. So I'm expecting that 41 to be there at the top. And then just to circle back to Zach, if you look at it, the last 3 races, all of those guys were championship 4 drivers. You had Mark, myself, and then John. All 3 of us are in the next round. Not to mention Nate possibly could have won Chicago if he didn't make so many mistakes there at the end, and he could have been the one. And either way, Zach, 1, 2, and 3, and then there's 4. All of us are capable of winning races, and so yeah, the mindset has to shift. You start focusing on where those guys are running. You start looking at your leaderboards if you have all the overlays that normally all the drivers have, and you start paying attention a little bit more to where those guys are running so that you can capitalize on a good points day there at the
end. John in the chat, I'll forget it all, I promise. Good stuff. The reality is that the thing that is probably the most important nugget of wisdom to take away is that a few weeks ago we picked the Final Four and I got it right. So yeah, Nate Estep was my wild card and here he is. So I'm right again. I know, such a burden I carry, but let's move on and sort of from Talladega and really dive into the championship 4. We've sort of alluded to it that these are the 4 drivers that are going to be racing over the next 3 weeks for a championship here at Friday Night Fuel. You have yourself, Ricky, and then John Gutekunst, Mark Gonzalez, your brother, and then Nate Estep makes his way into the Final Four. And as we take a look over what is to come over these next 3 weeks for Friday Night Fuel and take a peek into the schedule, ultimately these drivers are going to be tasked with some different racing disciplines. Not every track is going to be a Texas, right? So you can afford to have a flop, but not 2. So these guys are going to be duking it out, including yourself, for a championship. So what are your expectations when it comes to racing here for a championship. I see John down in there in the comments as well. John, if you want to chime in on this as well, your expectations over the next 3 weeks, how you prepare, what changes, right, from all the races we just raced to you made it. Now we got to do this.
Yeah, it's man. You want to say what you really want to say, but you have your competitors that are watching the podcast, and that's what kind of stinks in this situation, right? Because you don't want to give all your secrets away. But I don't know, man. Probably you run a little bit more laps than what you've normally done in the regular season, and leading up to this point, you're probably watching other people what they're doing throughout the week if they're doing races and kind of figuring out where they're running at. And I'm gonna be honest, and I know John was in the chat, but like that's another reason why I watched John is because I wanted to see what he was doing with his race car. I want to see what these competitors are doing. I want to see if I can gain an advantage, a tenth or there, a tenth here. So every inch matters, as we know, when it comes to motorsport racing. And so if you can have that advantage going forward, yeah, that's what you want to do, especially when a championship is on the line. And for us, Zach, you know this, we've hadn't had an opportunity to do that. So everyone calls me the Denny Hamlin. I look just like Denny Hamlin, and that's who I feel like. I've had a chance to run for a championship twice and have failed in both occasions. And so this one just means something, especially in a league that you run where you want the bragging rights in a group where you consider friends. You want to have that bragging rights, and nothing is better than winning a championship over friends. So yeah, we're hungry. We're very, very hungry. I know John's hungry. My brother, he's hungry. He's been able to win championships in other series, and he wants to add that to the top of his resume as well. And then E-Step. I don't know a lot about his iRacing career to see kind of if he's won a championship or not. I'm sure he has. I mean, he's a really heck of a driver, very skilled, and knows what he's doing with his race car. So, yeah, all four of us are going to be capable champions at the end of the day, whoever is crowned the champion. And if it's us, great. But if it's one of those three other competitors, we'll tip our hat and congratulate them and show some good sportsmanship as always, and maybe talk a little trash. And again, whoever wins it, we're probably going to party with them for a little bit that night.
Yeah. John here in the comments was able to say, for me, honestly, not much changes. It's really just keep a level head and rely on your instincts and skill. Hopefully that carries you home. We all know I'm a long run guy. I have zero short run speed. Yeah. You and me both, buddy. Problem is you qualify a lot better than me. So as we fade, we never see each other. So, but what happens here as these drivers turn their attentions towards the championship? We've talked about it before, Ricky, but I think now more so than ever, you have to be aware of the other guys, right? Because in a playoff format now in motorsports is this new wrinkle of, hey, you're racing for a championship. Nobody else cares. They're not racing for a championship. All that they care about is the checkered flag. And as John talked about, running around with a level head, sometimes you got to understand, right, where the give and take is. What does that look like for a championship 4 driver as they compete with guys that are running for checkers?
Yeah, it's difficult, right? Because those guys have their own agenda just as much as you have your agenda, right? And if it comes to the team stuff, I'm praying the TTR guys kind of hold up the other three. I know it sucks because it's me and Mark who are teammates, and we've already had one incident at Darlington where we were racing each other super, super hard and trying to keep it respectively clean. Just because we are family members and I know where he lives at the end of the day. So, but yeah, I'm expecting the TTR guys to block the 1776. I'm expecting the 1776 guys to block the TTR guys. Hold us up, hold them up, and kind of just play the mind games. And for everyone else, it's no hold bars. Like I know they're going to give us a lot of room. Hopefully, praying they give us a lot of room just because of who we are. And I know a lot of these drivers they don't really like throw it into the corner like they normally do. Now coming to the end of the race, I'm expecting some haymakers and some punches, and we're going to take some punches during this round. We know we are, but it's how we rebound. How do we come back with those punches? How do we counter the attack that Gutekunst and E-Step and younger Gonzalez do? And same for them. When we punch them, what do they do to counter back? So there's going to be a lot of mind games that are going to be played over the last couple of weeks of the season, and then like I said, man, once I'm gonna be honest too, Zach. I just want to get to the end. I just want to get to the end of the season and revamp some changes. We've talked in the podcast earlier too, and just yeah, we're gonna revamp some things after this season, and hopefully we can make it better. But yeah, this championship round means the world to all four drivers. I guarantee you that.
Yeah, Brett Bullard out here saying we out here to win these races. So, yeah, keep your head on a swivel, Final Four. There's a whole pack rearing
Yeah.
for checkered flags. So, give and take. All you gotta do is beat the other three. You can do that in the back. Let the rest of us have some time to shine. So, but let's move on from points and take a pit stop. This is the time in the show where we talk about, well, anything motorsports related, and seemingly any time that we have the chance to talk about NASCAR 25 on console, we do. And a video diary was released from the devs today talking about career mode and how that looks like for the console slash PC experience for this new generation of NASCAR games being made by a team of guys who've been there and done that with the Heat franchises, the early Heat franchises, the NASCAR Thunder franchises, the Dirt to Daytona stuff. Like, they brought in Project Cars people. I mean, they brought in talented game developers, really listened to the audience. And I think we finally got affirmation that, oh my goodness, they actually listened, because in the trailer today, we got to see a career mode at least setup that looks eerily familiar to the NASCAR Thunder series or the NASCAR 2005 Chase for the Cup kind of deal, without the drag racing Ryan Newman in the beginning. But I know we've talked about in the past about how much we loved console gaming growing up when it comes to motorsports. It's really neat to see iRacing sort of stretch out and get over here in this new space. What did you think about this new news for NASCAR 25?
Yeah, brought back a lot of memories. I'll tell you that, with the NASCAR Thunder days, and specifically 2003, when you're the financer. You are the owner. You spend what you got to spend on engines and this and that. And it was interesting during the video that they were mentioning shocks, and I guess they're adding more parts more than ever to the game, and so that's pretty cool. And I thought the social media, like, you got to be active on social media, so it's kind of like NCAA 25 with the transfer portal and who do you recruit to get to your team. And what I love too is, if you just want to drive, you can drive. You don't have to spend the money. You can let somebody else dictate how the car is being built, and how you spend the cash. And then on the other side, if you want heavy involvement as the owner driver, and you cut the checks and you spend the money for parts and building a more building like the Taj Mahal, as we saw with DEI back in the day, right? So I thought it was very interesting that you could do two aspects of that. I also like that they added the ARCA Menards, and so there's where the Dirt to Daytona stuff kind of adds up. And iRacing did a good job of adding the 4 Touring Series, ARCA, Truck, Xfinity, and the Cup. They said all of them are laser scanned, so we're gonna have accurate physics hopefully in the game. I know the NASCAR Heat stuff wasn't really accurate, and even from a track perspective, it wasn't accurate. Speaking of the one we're going to this weekend, it looked like both corners were 24 degrees of banking, and then one wasn't as shallow as the other one, right? And we'll get into more of TMS's track specs here later in the show. But yeah, very excited. And then to see Dale Earnhardt Jr. have some hands on this project, and I believe this will probably be, hopefully, one of the best racing games that we see on console. And I think that's what we're looking for. We're looking for guys who aren't on the iRacing server to give them an opportunity to try to race, and who don't have the funds necessarily to pay the monthly or yearly subscription that iRacing is, and they can go buy a $70 game, and now they're able to race at their favorite tracks. And I'm interested to see what they do with ARCA. I want to see what they do with those tracks. Are they gonna just kind of scan the Cup tracks and then put them on there? I don't know. We'll probably learn that at a later time, but I'm interested to see what tracks are going to be on this game as these diaries continue to come out throughout the year.
Yeah, so fall 2025 is the expected release time frame of NASCAR 25. I'm super excited for it. I cannot wait. I'm going to be one of those guys that does both. I take my money, and this really looks good, and I just hope the physics are great. Um, it can be as shiny and as polished as you want, right? But if it don't race good, it don't matter. And I think that's where fans are sort of burnt out over the last few console games we've received when it comes to NASCAR. But iRacing's put their name on it. They know that the public is ready to go with a new game. See Jared King. I hope the audio is different to past year, as in engine noise and whatnot. Seems like they used the same for a few years. In fact, Jared, the some of the engine noise, not all the specs, but some of them are original archives from the NASCAR Heat games on PC way back in the day. Like, they just took this audio file and plugged it into a new game, and that that kind of stuff, right? Attention to detail. You want it to be different. Many fans are craving for something new, and I think we're gonna get it, which is crazy to say because we haven't been used to that in a long time.
Another thing I'm looking forward to is what soundtracks do they use? Everybody when they get a new game, the first thing they want to look at is who's on the soundtrack. I know when Madden comes out, you're always trying to look to see what's on it. College Football 25 came out, trying to see what's on it. What people were gracious enough to put songs in the game, and I'm gonna be honest, Zach, I'm not gonna lie to you. Once I get a game, I just turn the menu music down because I
Same.
hear it so many times, and it's like, yeah, I'm tired of this song now. So, but maybe the first couple of times we leave the sound on, you want to hear the soundtrack, who's on it, and you kind of going through, and okay, there's Lil Wayne, which I'm not expecting him to be on it, but there's this and that, and country artists and hip hop and rock people, and so yeah, I'm interested to see what kind of artists we get on the soundtrack.
I tell you what, there is something to be said about good music, and Dale Jr. has actually spoken about this in his podcast about how important music is to the game. He's asked fans, what would you like to see here? I know from my own personal experience, like I'm a Breaking Benjamin fan, a Papa Roach fan, because of NASCAR console games. And like,
Yeah.
I would have never otherwise heard them unless they're in the game. And I'm really excited. That's a great point. I'm really hoping, as Jared says, that they're all bangers. So Dale Jr. put out a tweet. Brett said out early on to get the feel for what people wanted in the game, and he has a big say in what music goes in. Yeah, I'm glad that wasn't a fever dream. I'm glad I actually remembered something that actually happened. So thank you, Brett. Hopefully it's above and beyond. Man, chat's popping. Good. Hopefully it's above and beyond what they put into the World of Outlaws 24 game, because it was almost the literal same soundtrack from Tony Stewart's American Racing game. I can't really tell the difference between the two. All right. Well, iRacing's put their name on it, so expect their best foot forward here in the fall. Can't wait to see a gameplay trailer. Like, that's what I want. So,
Got some chatty Cathy's out there today, huh?
yeah, look at them go. Yeah, you keep them penned up for a few weeks, and they want to talk. So, I'll take.
Like everybody hit a reset.
I'll take it. I'll take it. All right. Let's go looking forward to the racetrack that Ricky has wanted to talk about from the formation of High Octane Podcast. And I'm fairly certain if I held out and not did this for so long, Ricky would have just made his own YouTube channel, talked about Texas, deleted it, deleted the channel, stepped away, and been like, I'm satisfied. I've done everything I've wanted to do because I've talked about my track. But it's not just your track. We're going to get into that here in a little bit. Texas Motor Speedway has hosted major racing here since 1997, including NASCAR and IndyCar racing. Burton Smith, out of Speedway Motorsports, came forward and decided that he wanted to build a major racetrack west of the Mississippi River. And he decided on the Dallas-Fort Worth area to set up a iconic track where drivers were able to start to envision what racing would look like in Texas when he bought the land in 1994. Truth of the matter is that Texas Motor Speedway, the groundbreaking didn't start until a whole nother year. It took him quite a while in order to amass the people to take on such a colossal project. And at the beginning of its inception, it didn't quite even look like that this was going to be possible. But after a year's delay, he decided that I got enough people, I got enough resources and manpower to start breaking ground in 1995. The track briefly went through a bit of an identity crisis, as it was called Texas International Raceway during its construction. Of course, that name didn't stick, but there is a alternate universe out there where Texas International Raceway still exists today. And then August 3rd, 1996, the track eventually opens. The first Nationwide Series race, and I have to say this, I don't ever talk about Nationwide Series history, but you already know where we're going, happened in 1997 at Texas, and my boy, Mark Martin, won, as he so often did back in those days, the Nationwide Series, or the Busch Series race in 97, and then the first race in the Sprint Cup Series was held the following day, won by Mark's Roush Racing teammate, Jeff Burton. Later on, the Camping World Truck Series found their way also to Texas, and Kenny Irwin managed to walk away with the victory there. It took Texas Motor Speedway a little while to invite different forms of motorsport into their complex, and in 1997, IndyCar made their way to Texas. However, it didn't stay there forever, as in the 2024 season, Texas was taken off the IndyCar schedule. We'll talk about the dangers of racing IndyCar at such a high-speed, unique kind of racetrack. This track has undergone improvements over its time and has been constructed at every which end of the raceway. It's had different repaving and drainage systems put in through the years, and is now highly contested among drivers as a track that has lost its drivability in the modern age of NASCAR. However, Texas Motor Speedway continues to be a fan favorite of folks who like to come on over and get rowdy and have a great time watching NASCAR's most popular drivers duke it out at Texas, where we know everything's just a little bigger. And Ricky, I hope I did you justice. I've never felt more scared saying history of a NASCAR track than here, because I should have just let you do it, but to be quite frank, this is my thing. So, Ricky, let's talk about Texas. It is a racetrack that has undergone some scrutiny, and yet here we are in the iRacing world, choosing that this is going to be a racetrack here in the 3-race stretch of the Final Four. And I think one of the reasons is that this track means a lot to a number of people in this series. Not just to you, Ricky, but Caleb Collins, John Garrett, and your brother, of course, Mark, all call this track home. So talk to the folks out there about Texas Motor Speedway.
So living in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, we've been to numerous races that are out there, and we were there in '97 with the inaugural race, and we saw the big lap 2 crash with the inaugural Cup race that was there. Saw Dale Earnhardt Jr. win his first Xfinity race there. Saw him win his first Cup race. Was there for the inaugural IndyCar Series race. Was there for the inaugural truck race. And so to see where this place has gone, and for folks who haven't been to TMS, it's right off the I-35 highway. And I remember as a kid when we'd go up to the racetrack, it was just fields of grass. That's all it was. Now today you go up there and it's extended. You go past downtown and it was just grass. Zach. I'm not kidding. It was just grass. And then boom is this big racetrack, NASCAR racetrack that just sits on the other side of Alliance Airport, which is where they house all of the jets that do the flyovers for the track. So they do a bunch of air shows out there. So now to see apartments and houses and car dealerships and the transformation of the racetrack with Big Hoss TV. It's the largest scoreboard, video board in sports right now. It's even larger than the one at AT&T Stadium. We have a Buc-ee's that's across the street from the racetrack. And if you ever go to TMS, that is one spot you don't want to be on race day. You'll get stuck in the madness and the traffic of trying to get over to the racetrack. And one year we did go to Buc-ee's to grab breakfast. We got there super early. And we saw some of the team guys. They were coming in to grab breakfast and see what this Buc-ee's place is all about. And let me tell you, when Zach says everything's bigger in Texas, everything is bigger in Texas. It's a Walmart that meets a gas station. And it's literally, you can buy T-shirts and gifts. And it's like a 7-Eleven all mixed into one. So if you threw if Walmart and 7-Eleven had a kid, it'd punch out Buc-ee's. So fortunately for us, we've been season ticket holders the past couple of years, and we've gone to every single race. And unfortunately, now we only have one race. The second one went to its sister down in Austin at Circuit of the Americas. And yeah, this place is home. Caleb lives in Canyon. Mark and I live 45 minutes south of the racetrack. John Garrett's about an hour and a half east. And so it just means more to us, especially as a Texan. It just means more to those guys that try to win this race. And we talked a couple of episodes ago that TTR, the Kansas race, is ours. Like, that's our Super Bowl. Well, for the Texan guys, this is our Super Bowl. We have never had a chance to win at our home track. And I really, really want to win this race tomorrow just because of where it's at. And, other people have Michigan as their home track. You have Pocono. I know you don't claim Pocono,
Whoa.
but you have Pocono. Yeah. And, because West has Kansas. Mayo has Sonoma. Those are their home tracks. And it means more when you were able to win at your home track. And if Goose wins tomorrow, I wouldn't doubt him, because we stole one from him at Michigan at his home track. So I know everybody's going to be throwing haymakers left and right when it comes to this place. And hopefully, I'm praying to God tomorrow we are in victory lane, and it would mean the world to me if we were able to finally get in victory lane, and if Mark's able to do it too. I mean, just to bring one back for the family and us fellow Texans that are in this race.
Well, although there is dispute in the chat over what your real home track actually is, we'll leave that for the chat to decide. But it sounds like your new home track might be somewhere where NASCAR's trying out this year. But we'll just leave it for that. But
Don't worry, that's fine. I choose to ignore it.
but who says we don't have fun? So. Ultimately, this racetrack does mean a lot to these drivers who call this place home, and emotions, I'm sure, are going to be running high throughout this event. And we're going to see these drivers that we mentioned bring their all to try to claim victory here in Texas. And now we're in the part of the show where after a little bit of a break, I get to pick the winner of Texas Motor Speedway. And look, last time I did this, I got really bullish, and I did tell you that the only caveat to my prediction is if David Mosbaugh's internet held out for Talladega, and it didn't. So I would like to say I've been vindicated. But I'm going to play spoiler with my pick for this week. It might be because I don't want to show favoritism to any of the Texans. It might be I just want to see them race exceptionally harder just to prove me wrong. Um, but I am going to pick a guy that I think has just the right amount of momentum to begin a quest for a championship. And I'm going to be picking Nate Estep to come out here and win Texas. He's the underdog here in the Final Four, and we talked about a few weeks ago the speed that he showed at the Chicago Street Course and making that strong push to get into the playoffs means a lot for him. And he was my underdog pick to get into the Final Four. I think he's going to put his foot down and say, look, I see y'all talking about the Gonzalez brothers and John every week. Well, here I am. Don't forget about me. Big statement week for Nate as he comes out, upsets the Texans, and wins at Texas. So, or maybe Nate's from Texas. I have no idea. Maybe I just conned myself. But that's going to be my prediction for Texas Motor Speedway.
Yeah, that's the solid pick, and he's riding a good wave of momentum. I mean, finished second at Vegas, finished second at the Chicago race. Not really sure where he finished the race before that, but yeah, that dude, he's on fire right now. The only thing that's holding him back is getting another win. And I know he won earlier in the year at Atlanta, when it was like the third or fourth race of the season, and yeah, he's definitely ones that deserve to be in this championship for sure. The way that he chipped and clawed and fought and got stage points and led laps and was there at the end, like that's a solid pick. So yeah, I'm looking for the purple and black 55 to be there up at the front. I'm expecting all four of us there to be at the front. So yeah, it's gonna be wild to see how this thing plays out. And as we go on too, Zach, like Texas has changed, as you said in your track description. The bankings in 1 and 2 aren't the same as it is in 3 and 4. And so a lot of the drivers probably are focusing on getting the rotation of the car, meaning they want it to turn more. So like, how do you do that to make sure your car is slowed down to hit the apex of that corner and get a good run off, you know? So, and then able to match the gas in 3 and 4. So 1 and 2 is 20 degrees, 3 and 4 is 24 degrees. How does Nate capitalize on where he can gain a little bit of speed and a little bit of an advantage of those guys on two totally different ends of the racetrack? So yeah, we'll see tomorrow what can happen, and hopefully your pick is sitting right on top.
Yeah, John says Nate's from New York, so I'm safe. So, and Ricky, just so you know, Brett says you're gonna have to fight to get that win after you miss the start of the race. So,
yeah. So we sorry to cut you off there,
yeah,
partner, but I got a bet with Brett Pulley. So our flight leaves California at 12:15. So as you know, that's 2:15 Texas time. We land at 5:50 p.m. in DFW, and DFW has gotten some pretty harsh weather. They had a bunch of freezing rain, and it's like I know it's you're gonna look at the north guys because y'all are the king of the cold, but it's like 19 degrees back home. It's gonna be 32 when I land, and we know Texas likes to shut the state down. So like I'm literally trying to get my bags, get off the plane, get to the car. If I got to take the Skylink, which is our little train that goes from terminal to terminal, like I'm hauling the mail to get to the house. So we got a bet. So if I make the race session in time, practice, I just got to make the start of the race. So if I make the start of the race, Brett has to run a car with my face on it for a future event. If I don't make it in time, I have to run his face on a car in a Tier 1 Racing League event. So yeah, we got some bets going on. So anybody who wants to make it on this bet, you know, let me know. We'll add your face to the race car as well. Like a co-sponsor, I guess. But yeah, that's the bet for us. So yeah, Brett, I got you. That Honda's it's gonna go as fast as it can, and it's gonna get to the house as fast as it can. So gonna call mom. Hopefully turn the rig on. She has the garage door opener too, and I deadbolted everything, all the locks at the house. So I'm having mom go open the garage, and I'm literally just gonna park the car, Zach, and run upstairs. I'm not even gonna try to grab my bags. I'm just gonna let's go. I gotta set up some stuff for the stream that we do on Twitch, and then we just gotta get in the session. And if you hear me huffing and puffing when we're in voice chat, just Just mind your business.
Oh, well, ultimately, just stay safe. That, it's not worth a wrecked Honda, but yeah, I'm sure. And Jared King says that's it. I'm sure John Gudikins and I share the same, let's say, sarcastic skepticism of Texas and their definitions of bad weather. But we appreciate you beaming in from California for the show. I know that you didn't do it for me; you did it for Texas, so it's fine. But thank you, chat, for a great episode where you guys really chimed in. This is always a lot of fun when chat's popping off. So can't thank you guys enough. If you like what you see here, please like, comment, and subscribe to Spin Move iRacing Network. We have this show typically every Thursday before the Friday Night Fuel Racing, which is exclusively on Snake Bitten Gaming on Facebook. Go over there and find Snake Bitten Gaming. Share that with friends and family that want to queue in and watch. And also check out Fast Track Talk over on this channel as well. It's a commentary series that I do on the happenings of NASCAR. So go and check that out. Ricky, any closing thoughts as we head into Texas and you frantically pack your bags to get on an airplane?
Yeah, just appreciative of everybody every week that tune into this stuff. Without you, this thing doesn't take off like it has the past 13 episodes. So very, very much appreciative, and everybody that's in the chat. Yeah, let's get it. Let's get home. Let's get back to good old Tejas, and you even got some stuff from back home, Zach. There you go. That's just for you, buddy. So let's get home. Let's get on the rig, and let's go get them at Texas Motor Speedway.
All right. For my partner Ricky, my name is Zach, and you're all fueled up and ready to go. Can't wait to talk to you next week about how Texas shakes out and how the Final Four starts to take shape. We'll talk to you guys again here real soon.